Well, hello. Welcome back to the Life's Good, and indeed, the pub in the pantry. And I can hear you all shouting and screaming, where the heck have you been? Where's AJ been? Honestly, guys, since before Christmas, I have been so busy, what with work and family, other issues, if you like to call them those. Yeah, just so much going on. Life has just gotten in my way, believe me. Cheers, by the way. Slightly cloudy now, but just as good. This is the last of my Munton's Old English Ale. It's getting a little bit old now. I think it's probably been in this keg nearly 3 months, believe it or not. But just the same, it does stay quite good in a keg, providing you don't let air in. If you've got air in your keg, then you can get all sorts of things happen on the surface of the beer, or indeed in the beer, and it'll be gone, ruined, no good. But I've kept this, made sure there's some CO2 in there, and it's still a good ale. Although you can taste it, it's just that little bit old now. So this afternoon, I've been making more beer, as you do. I've been looking at making the Bad Cat. That's from the same stable as the Evil Dog that I had. And I'm also looking at making the American Amber Ale. So I'm going to get both of those kits away this afternoon. And there's something else I wanted to show you or discuss with you today. Bear with me a second. I'm gonna turn you around and let you have a look at this setup in here. Bear with me. I'm not sure if you can see this very well. I don't have a light in this cupboard, so it might be a little dark. But if you look, my kegs are actually decanted at an angle. They're facing forward. I've got them sitting on a little wooden platform that I made that tips them and holds them securely on the shelf at an angle. And the reason I've done that is that when you get to the lower few pints of beer left in your keg, it gets to a point where it's below the tap. Now, I have discussed this in a previous video some years ago when I had my pub under the stairs. It was always a problem when you get to the bottom and the beer actually goes below the tap, but there's still 3 or 4 pints left in the keg. So how do you get that last few pints out without tipping it around, sloshing it around, angling the barrel, and you're performing all sorts of sort of juggling, really, when you have your glass. You're trying to turn on the tap and you're trying to tip the barrel to get those last few pints out of the keg, and in such a way that they're still drinkable. So I devised these little platforms, and I stand my kegs on these platforms, and it holds them at an angle. And if you watch this next section, I've put a little video together on how I made these. In fact, I made these this morning. So have a quick look at this and see what you think. Well, all I used to make those supports underneath my kegs was using this piece of plywood offcut. I've marked it off. It's about 10 inches wide. I've marked it off at 1 foot and 2 foot intervals. I'm about to cut that through with a saw. And I had this bit of 2B1, old school 2B1 batten. It's actually 18mm by 44mm, but an offcut of batten there as well. And I'm using this to make the supports to go underneath my kegs. Well, having sawn the plywood and the batten into the sizes or the pieces that I need, I now have one piece of plywood with a batten, second piece with a batten, and what I'm going to do now is to screw the batten underneath one edge of the plywood, and that makes the angled support like that. Just putting the batten along the edge of the plywood and marking its thickness there, so that I know that in this is where I want to drill my holes, the pilot holes, my screws. I've just placed one of my kegs on top of one of these little supports, and what I want to do is to mark a position for a couple of blocks that I can screw in place on here. It can be as crude or as fancy as you like, and I haven't purchased any materials for this. This is all leftover materials from other little jobs I've been doing recently. So a bit of this batten, so bring it up against the keg. I want to finish mine off quite neat and tidy on here. If I mark a line on here now, that is the point at which my batten's going to lie. Same on the other side. Get it to match up. Mark a line. Now I can remove the keg, fix some batten in those two positions, and that will support the keg and stop it sliding off when it's in position on the shelf. Well, as crude as it is, there's a little support for my keg. Piece of plywood, piece of batten, that gives it the angle. 2 bits of batten on the front stops the keg from sliding forward. Now bear in mind, it's going to hold, it's going to be carrying quite a bit of weight on here, so the materials you use need to be fairly sturdy. I think, is it a gallon of water weighs 10 pounds, something of that nature. So if you've got 5 gallons there, you've got about 50 pounds of liquid plus the equipment sitting on top of here. So it's quite a bit of weight. So I suppose it's worth bearing in mind that whatever shelf you stand your keg on has got to support all that weight as well. So there it is, a little keg support which holds the keg at just the right angle on the edge of a shelf, so that you don't have to play around tilting it to get the last of the beer from the bottom of the keg. I've had the Bad Cat beer mix sitting in warm water for about 15-20 minutes now. So I've just taken the cap off and pulling out the seal that sits inside. And I'm going to pour all of this into my bucket. I've also got a kettle of hot water there, which I'm going to rinse the bag out with, so I don't waste any of this valuable mixture. These kits, these more expensive kits, do not require any added sugar. You don't have to add any more sugar to them. It's already in the mixture. Whereas some of the cheaper kits, you get just a single tin, and they come with a little sachet of yeast. They're about 15, 16, 18 pounds, I guess, for a kit. You do need to purchase sugar to go with those. As I said, these kits don't need it. I've got all that in there. I'm going to rinse this out. Whoa, tastes delicious. Do it over the sink. I don't want to make a mess everywhere else. This is hot water, so be cautious if you're doing this at home, guys. Just be careful you don't scald yourselves. I'm going to pop the lid back on and give that a bit of a whiz around. These kits are so easy to use. You just pour the kit in the bucket, add boiling water, top it up with cold water, add your yeast. A week or so later, siphon it into a keg, and a week or so after that, you've got 40 pints of beer. And these kits are very good. The flavours are incredible. Everything is in there that you need. All I've got to do with this now is top it up with hot water and give it a stir. And then add cold water up to 23 litres. It's as simple as that. Give it a good stir. Again, sterile spoon, everything has been sterilised. And all I need to do now is to top it up to the 23 litre mark, which is about there, with cold water. Well, there we go, 23 litres of beer mixture. And in order to get this to work and become alcoholic, we need to add the yeast. This is Pacific Ale beer yeast that comes with the kit. It's a very fine powdered yeast, this, and you just sprinkle it on the top like that. You don't have to stir it in or anything like that, just spread it on there. Make sure you got all of it out of the packet and let the magic begin. Well, I've had a good day today. I've built my little supports for the kegs and I've set away the Bad Cat Imperial Red craft beer, and I'm about to do the American Amber Ale as well today. I'll get all of those set away. Incidentally, what I didn't mention in that video was that with the Bad Cat and a lot of these kits, you get additional hops supplied. Ordinarily they're either a pellet form or they're in like a bag, a tea bag. So I've set that beer away, and about 5 or 6 days in, you add the hops, and about 3 or 4 days or so after that is when you then decant it into your keg. So you get that extra hoppy aroma, flavour in the beer. With this particular one, they've got Amarillo, I'm not familiar with that, and Willamette hops. There's so many different varieties of hops, and clearly this company, which is Bulldog Brewing Company. So the Bulldog Brewing Company that put this kit together obviously have selected these particular hops for flavour and aroma. So there you have it, another little video from the Life's Good. I'm going to have some supper, I'm going to make the beer, and I'll come back and see you guys soon and let you know how the cat beer, the Bad Cat, turns out, and anything else I'm up to. So whatever you're doing, you take care, you stay safe, come back and see us soon, and don't forget one of these corners, one of them, it's that one. There's a little red subscribe button. If you can't see that, underneath the videos you get subscribe and so on there. Subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and any comments, any communication you care to send my way, I do read all the comments, and I do enjoy the communication with my viewers. So look after yourselves, come back and see us soon, and I'll see you soon in the Life's Good. Bye bye now.